here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Mike, DJ Ontic. Welcome to the show. Today we have a clip show going on. Ryan's out of the studio. He's got some family stuff going on. His youngest, Lukey, is having a birthday today. So happy birthday, Lucas. I don't know how old he's turning, but that's what they're doing. It's also Valentine's Day. So there's that. I think they ended up going to a jazz game or something. So today on the clip show we have Jason Frostholm, we have DJ Tam, we have Anderson Blue, and DJ Faze. It's gonna be an awesome show. If you've missed out on these episodes, you can go back and listen to the full length on our website at apescast.com. Up first we have a good friend of mine, DJ Tam from Power 93.3 in Seattle. Here you go.
I just started DJing in some of the nightclubs, and I met a guy, DJ Manic. Shout out to DJ Manic. He's in Kodiak, Alaska now on the radio up there. But
Whoop.
I came into a nightclub that I got a phone call to come in and work, and I showed up and he was DJing with another guy from Cube 93. They were there at the time.
This was the vinyl days.
This was the vinyl days,
Serato.
definitely. It was Pier 70. I would believe it was like 1998, I guess. Oh, yeah.
Well, I started in 96. So, and I think I'm at 21 years or something like that. I don't know. I can't do math right now.
Yeah,
but,
me
yeah.
neither. No hard math.
So anyways,
But
98.
so yeah, I walk in there and him and this other guy are DJing, and I knew who they were, but I didn't know them personally. And I walk in with all my records, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be working." They told me I started at like 11:30.
Was it like one of those double booked situations?
Well, they were the residents there, and they were getting fired, and they didn't know. And I didn't know that they were there, and so the guy's
This
like,
happens a lot. to
"Yeah."
me.
The guy's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I go on at 11:30." He's like, "No, you don't." I go, "I don't know." So I go and grab the manager, who I'd never met. I'd only talked to on the phone. And I bring her over, and I'm like, "Okay, so what's the deal?" And she goes, "Oh, yeah, by the way, you guys don't work here anymore after tonight. So what does this guy do? I don't have any records out, anything yet." He stops the music, packed nightclub, about just before 11:30. And fuck it, I quit. And he stops the music and just starts packing up his stuff.
Dude.
And the manager's like, "You better get on, like, right now." And I'm like, "Hold on." So I start playing, and then he stands back behind me and starts going, "Nope. That's a bad mix. Nope, that's horrible."
Just
And
in your head the whole night.
and
just
I'm
trying to-
already shaking because I'm in the night. I'd been doing
You're in a new venue.
Yeah,
You've
and
never
I-
played there before, and the
and
guy's
it was
giving
back.
you shit.
It was one of the biggest clubs in Seattle at the time.
Was it DV?
No, it was Pier 70.
Okay, I
It's
don't-
where they ended up having Real World was in the same
Is that
building
the one
with
that
them.
was right off a ferry terminal kind of
down,
yeah.
way down, right at the end, right where that sculpture park is. It's right
So
next to that.
when I was in high school, I think I came there a few times. We would come check out random clubs, but we took a ferry to one. I don't remember
That was
getting there or
probably
whatever.
it.
And so that was probably it. Yeah.
And so anyway, he sits back there, and I finally turn around. I'm like, "Yo, dude, you need to knock it off, man. You're on my head." And he goes, "Let me just show you," because I didn't really know that much. He goes, "Let me show you a few things." And he sat there and hung out, and we ended up becoming really good friends, and we're still really good friends to this day.
So
So he brought me in to C89 he had the Nocturnal Transmission show.
okay,
And he had been doing it for quite some time, probably 5 years or so. And then he wanted me to be his producer, which sounded really cool, being a producer of the
Yeah.
show. But really, all he wanted me to do was
all the grunt work. All
yeah,
the,
like he always wanted me to like grab the Stranger magazine, the newspaper,
Yeah.
and like go through the I saw you and circle like the good ones, and that was like his show
Part
prep.
of his segment
His show
on the
prep
show.
was me. Yeah, and that's like what he would talk about, because he was on Cube also, but he was doing overnights, and he always wanted to be like a morning show guy. So
Yeah.
he was like he's trying to like use this as his outlet over like trance and dance music,
which isn't in the same kind of.
no, everyone
ballpark.
is like, just play the music and shut the hell up. We don't care. We can go get our own free Stranger magazine. So anyway, he moved to Egypt to go DJ. The owner of one of the club's neighbors,
Yeah.
he owns a nightclub in Egypt.
Okay. So, and is that what Trent and neighbors and all that C89? Isn't Trent involved with C89?
Yeah, but
Okay.
he never went over to Egypt, but a couple of the other guys did. So he ends up moving to Egypt. So I took over the show, and I went from there. And then I was doing that, and then Victor Menego, who I'm in town for to go see or go to his wedding,
For the wedding, yeah.
he was doing the drive at 5, and I didn't really know him at the time. I just knew he was the guy on 3 turntables, which is like amazing.
Yeah, I've heard like stories where he just comes in and nails it every time.
Yeah,
Just
every
perfect.
time he was flipping through records so fast. I'm like, how do you even? I couldn't even comprehend. I mean, I get it now, but even with Serato, it's a lot easier. But
Yeah, but
So anyway,
yeah.
he calls me and he goes, "Hey, you're doing this nocturnal transmission." I'd only been doing it for maybe 6 months. And he goes, "How do you feel about doing the drive at 5?" Because he was doing it 5 days a week. And then I said, "Sure, I'll do it Tuesdays and Thursdays." And I did that for years. Also
so did the drive at 5 Tuesdays and Thursdays, and nocturnal transmission
on Wednesday,
night.
and then that's how I got to hook up with Kiss FM.
How long were you at Kiss?
Like 15 years. Well, I'm still there technically. I mean, we're not Kiss anymore. We're Power 93.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually doing a mix for them next week.
nice,
I think, yeah.
nice. Didn't you do one a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, a little while. He's hit me up a few times to do one. So
Nice.
it's I love it. Just kind of gives
good.
me some content and
Yeah.
it makes me stay current.
That's
So-
the reason why I still do it, because it keeps me current. It keeps me so I know what the current hits are.
It helps out a lot because a lot of them I wouldn't I wouldn't go and search that music out, but the fact that it's a
When you can
power
see the
track,
radio
yeah,
station is playing
and
it
it's
125
on
times a
rotations,
week, you know that it's got to be
you might
fairly
as well
big.
start doing it. So
Either that or somebody's getting paid really well. And I'm not getting a cut of that, so
anyways, where did we leave off with you? You were we know you're on Power 93 now. You were on Kiss FM for a long time.
yeah, and then it got sold. Or not sold.
Change formats.
The format flipped, and I was thinking of before when it was CBS forever. It's okay, Pop.
Sorry, we have a studio dog today. The modern day equivalent of a Sublime's Lou dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, called Slasher.
Yeah, we have
we were-
Slasher in the studio today.
We were CBS, and then we got traded to Clear Channel, which turned into iHeartMedia.
So you're part of the iHeart network now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Have been
iHeart
for a couple
family
of
of
years
stations.
now.
Yeah.
And
Was
they,
that before the switch over to Power?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Cube back in the day, man, that has some history in Seattle.
Oh, Cube was huge.
And it's weird to be on that same call, 93.3.
Yeah.
And not be Cube, I
Well,
mean,
and a lot
T-Man
of-
in the morning and all that stuff. I mean, that was huge when I was growing up.
A lot of people still think it's Cube.
Really?
Yeah. The attention span on people is so low.
Yeah.
They've been listening to the station for a decade and still calling it Q.
yeah. Well, so we were Kiss 106.1 forever, and it turned to Kiss FM. Man, 6 years ago, and people still call it Kiss. It's still on flyers. Well, when I was still there, and be like flyer or something, and be like Kiss 106.1 with my name on it. I'm like,
No,
come on,
we're
man.
not even there anymore.
And then they'll put the logo on there, and the logo doesn't even say 106.1. But people still just think of it as Kiss 106.1, just like they think of 93.3 as Cube 93.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And I saw Eric Powers. You say Eric Powers went to. He used to do the afternoons
Yeah.
forever
Yeah,
at Cube, and he is now afternoons at Hot 103.7.
Oh, really?
So I think after he was let go a year ago, I think he probably had a non-disclosure for a year, maybe,
Yeah.
or he couldn't work in the
Non-compete
market,
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
non-compete in the market. And as soon as that was up, now he's doing
103.7.
103.7. And
Interesting.
then Sir Mix-a-Lot's doing the morning show.
Really? That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I love that station. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but it's just like, it's all the stuff that when I started DJing, it's all Nelly and all
The
that.
throwbacks. Well, Movin' was like that when they first came out.
Yeah, and it
Movin'
didn't
did
work.
an old. Yeah, I know.
I know. I worked on the
So-
moving in San Francisco. I was there that's when I left the drive at 5 at C89, I was doing moving in
for
San
a little
Francisco
while down there.
for about a year, I guess. And it was all throwbacks, and it's not really a format. It's just, I don't know how well
Well,
it's
there's
working.
only so many bangers that were hot back in the day that
so
you
you have to kind of rotate
through.
them out, yeah. And I don't know how. I haven't looked at the ratings lately, and I don't know if it's working at 103.7. But I don't care. I listen.
Yeah. Well, it's we're old,
Right.
We like it.
I mean, I love me some Ed Sheeran, but
Shape of Me ain't cutting
I'll
it.
take some Ja Rule over him any day.
Ooh, Ja Rule's coming through Salt Lake here pretty quick.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah,
With Nelly?
No, with
okay.
with Ashanti.
Oh yeah, he's
Just like
coming,
old
they're coming to
times.
Seattle too. They
Yeah.
already came.
Yeah, it's got to
2
be coming
years
right
ago?
up. Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago. They were at Showbox.
Yeah, I think you're right. I remember hearing about that one.
Yeah, I wanted to go, but it was like on a night I had to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got to tell my one Sir Mix-a-Lot story. I don't have a ton of those, but so he played in Ogden, Utah. God, it's maybe been a couple years ago now, and a little club there. And went up, saw him play, because I was just nostalgic. I wanted to hear all the old stuff, Swass and all that kind of stuff. And so I go out and I catch a show, and it's a decent crowd, but it's not packed house or anything. It's easy enough. So when it's done, my goal was to get out and meet him. Get out, catch the guy, get a selfie or something with him, right? And
Catch him before the drive-through.
yeah, right. Yeah. Well, yeah, no. First of all, if you don't know Sir Mix-a-Lot, look him up. Second of all, if you look him up, look now because he's
pretty big.
Yeah, he's 3 Sir Mix-a-Lots now. But but the man comes off stage, right? And I follow, I go outside and he's signing some autographs and stuff. So I go over and I just want to get my selfie with him. And I'm not too big a fanboy. I love him and stuff, but I was letting all the kind of more amped up people get to him first. And so I'm standing in line and we're working our way up to him. And I finally get up to him and he's like, you can tell he's kind of done. Like he's ready to split. And he's like, hey man, do you mind if I just get a quick selfie with you real fast? He's like, man, I got to wipe my ass. But if you want to come over and get a picture real quick, we'll go ahead and do it. and I was like, that was the best thing he could have said to me. And so anyway, I went over, I took my selfie, and presumably he went and wiped his ass. So anyway, but he's a big fella now. He was pretty sweaty, hot.
Wasn't he just in Pocatello like 2 weeks ago or something?
I don't know. He could have been.
I think he played at that new venue here.
Yeah, I think he came through with Naughty by Nature, actually. We were talking about it the other day because I was so bummed out. Mike and I went and saw Naughty by Nature in Park City
Vic
not too long
opened for
ago.
him.
A friend of theirs, this guy, DJ Victor Menego, opened for him. And so we went up to see Vic, really, but, sort of nostalgic for Naughty also. So we stuck around for the Naughty show. And they basically took all the songs and squished it into a 3-minute medley. And then the rest of the show was a bunch of stuff you don't know. And I could not have been more bummed out.
Well, Authority Zero did that once to us
Yeah,
too. We
I
went to
hate
a
it
show
when
and they
people
just
do
do a
that.
mashup and get all their bangers out of the way, the ones that we know from back in the day, and then play new stuff, and you don't know any of the new stuff.
Yeah, and I get it if you're pushing a new album or something like that, but like Naughty by Nature has to know when people come to see Naughty
They
by
wanna
Nature,
hear
it's
Hip Hop
not
Hooray.
for the
They
new
wanna
album.
hear-
Yeah, how long was their set?
Maybe an hour and a half.
Whoa.
We left
We
early.
left early. We were.
there was
we
plenty
were
of time. They could have
yeah.
busted a couple
So they
of
had
those
an
out.
8-minute mega mix or
Yeah.
medley.
Yeah.
Yeah,
then
something
the
like that.
rest-
And it was literally everything from the first album. It was the Hip Hop Array. Well, he might have done Hip Hop Array. But anyway,
They probably did that one more than once.
Twice. Ended with
Open
it.
and close with it.
Open
yeah.
and close it. But for me, old school Naughty by Nature fan, their first album's like my favorite thing in the world. And the 4 tracks that are my favorite on it, they were all part of this medley. And I was like, okay, well, I saw everything I needed to see.
That's
So-
good. We had to drive back anyway.
Yeah, so we
It's
got
just
to
sad
get-
that we were trying to beat a crowd in Park City.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
See, it's almost better if they just have a show. I opened up for at the Tacoma Dome. I opened up for TLC, Nelly, and then the headliner was what's the Wahlberg?
Marky Mark and the
Marky
Funky
Mark?
Bunch?
No, the other one.
Vibrations.
No, the
I was
boy
going to ask
band.
you again what kind
The
of
boy
club you've been
band,
working at.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh,
Don't-
was he Backstreet?
No,
or NSYNC?
No.
Why am I man?
Which one was Wahlberg in?
I
I can't remember. I know which
The,
one. New Kids on the Block.
New Kids on the Block.
Oh,
New
yeah,
Kids.
yeah.
So hopefully you can edit that stuff out. And
No,
make
no,
it
no.
sound so
We're
stupid.
going to leave it in there.
Yeah, it's all part of the
DJs,
process.
That's pretty bad. That I can't think of who it was.
Dude, it
anyway,
happens.
so what they did was obviously TLC was TL
Yeah.
Yeah.
and or no TC
Yeah.
and but anyway, so I just played music for open up for them for like an hour, and then they all went on, but they just did their bangers,
Their
for
songs.
20-minute set, and they're done.
Yeah.
And the turnover, like they wanted me to play music in between the set changes, and they're like, forget it. We're not even going to do that. We're just going to turn it over that fast. And they did.
Wow.
And they whipped it through. And then obviously,
Was this a Kiss event?
no, it was through who the big booking that do all the concerts?
Live Nation.
Live Nation.
Yeah.
But it was obviously the boy band was what everyone came to see.
Right.
New Kids. This was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, about that. And that was, I mean, they played for.
Yeah, Mike was there to see New Kids.
No, my cousin was stoked. She drove like 4 hours to come up and see those guys.
Yeah, it was huge, and they played for a while. But everyone else just, Nelly did, I don't know what, 6 songs.
Yeah, 17 minutes of all the songs you like.
Did the show actually sell out pretty good, or was it?
Yeah, it was good.
I saw it AC/DC there about 8 years ago, and it didn't do too well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How big is a Tacoma Dome?
It's like bigger than Holt Arena, like 30,000 plus.
people.
Yeah, but the sound system's
It's
horrible.
horrible. It's just boomy and it just sounds like crap.
What was I gonna say?
Something about.
Oh no! Did
love.
Angus have his little shorts on?
Yeah.
Did he really? He's like 80 years old.
Yeah, the problem is his inner thighs are all wrinkly now.
He's got duct tape holding his. Oh man.
All right, that was the homie DJ Tam from Seattle. Appreciate you coming on. We'll have to definitely get you on again in the future. Up next, we got Anderson Blue from Blue Dreams. He's a graphic designer from New Jersey. He does custom prints with superheroes wearing tennis shoes. So if you're into sneakers and you like, Batman and Spider-Man and Michael Jordan and all this fun stuff, check him out. His website is bluedreams.com. He spells blue, B-L-U-U. So his website is BLUUDREAMS.com. Ryan, you'll get that. Anyways, check it out. Here's Anderson Blue.
Cool. All right. So to Mike's point, Anderson, where did the blue come from?
The blue actually came from my clothing brand, Blue Dreams. I've been doing it for 5 years. The whole idea for the clothing brand was to have an aquatic themed brand based from my hometown of Long Island. So the main logo is a deep sea diver, and what I do is I like to take a. Go ahead,
Anderson. I'm sorry to cut you off. Are you listening through headphones or are you listening through speakers?
Through headphones. Is it coming through the speaker?
We're getting
We're just
some
hearing a beep.
feedback.
It sounds like a smoke alarm or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my girlfriend. She's cooking and she's about to burn the house down.
It is a smoke alarm.
My bad. Yeah, it is.
No, don't sweat it.
I was freaking out, like looking at cables and stuff. Like, what's going on here?
No.
sounded a little like feedback.
That's her burning dinner. My bad.
Okay.
Excellent. Anyway,
Sorry.
proceed. So
Yeah.
your clothing company, you were looking for something aquatic theme.
Yeah, so that's where the name Blue Dreams came from. Blue from the water, dreams from, going out there trying to make it happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. So to give everybody a little bit of background, I met Anderson a year ago. Well, I guess it's been almost exactly a year ago now at the Weapons of Mass Creation Fest that we've been plugging for like 6 weeks now because every week we're talking about the stupid thing. But anyway, I met Anderson out there in Cleveland. Basically, I was the lone soldier who had arrived in Cleveland and didn't know anybody. So I got on Instagram and I started just looking for, the hashtag WMC, hashtag whatever. And I finally found a group of guys, but actually found Anderson first and got rapping with him a little bit on Instagram. And he was kind enough to invite me over. So with Anderson at, what's the name of that taco joint? Is it Barrio? Is that what it's called?
I don't even remember. It was delicious, though.
Yeah, I think it's Barrio. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, we met over at this taco place. I sat down with the guys and was introduced to Will, who anybody who heard the episode a couple weeks ago, Will Truren, we interviewed him a couple weeks ago. I met Anderson and a couple other people who will meet down the road. And so anyway, but really great experience. But basically, Anderson let me into the circle. And so, because he was the one on Instagram paying attention when I was lonely and looking for friends.
Hey, man, I give you credit. I mean, it was a smart way to do it. I mean, that was before, Instagram is what it is now. But yeah, I'm happy that you came through and, it was a blast. Unfortunately, you caught me when I was like, my knee was all messed up and, it was hard for me to walk. But
Was that when you tore your ACL? I noticed you posted something about that a while ago.
Yeah. So literally that summer I was trying to be Superman, play sports. I tore my patella tendons, pretty much the same thing that happened to Victor Cruz. And then because of that, like, it's very hard to walk. Yeah, I learn how to walk again, and yeah, I go through all that fun stuff. So
yeah, no, I felt bad because we had sort of our little posse, you know, and we were walking from place to place to place. But poor Anderson had like a full leg, kind of.
yeah.
Don't worry, he'll catch up. No big deal.
So,
Exactly, but you know, other than that, it was a good time. So you
How
know,
long were you down for?
You mean my injury?
Yeah.
God, easily a year.
Well,
Like
that's
now,
rough.
now I'm like somewhat back to normal, but you know.
well, and before that though, like, I mean, your whole thing is, I mean, like, I know you as an artist, and I mean that's why we met there. But I mean, you're like an athlete. You're all these things also, right? So I mean, you didn't break your or mess up your patella doing an illustration job.
I mean, to be honest with you, that's the good thing about being an artist and playing sports. That after you get hurt, you have so much free time to knock out some freelance jobs. So I can't be too mad at it.
Yeah. So anyway, so you're an athlete. What's your sport of choice?
To be honest with you, it's basketball. That was what got me into, you know, the college that I went to. I walked on. I played ball. I've been playing ball all my life. You know, just a big sports fan. So I've done football. I've done baseball. I've done track. But my go-to is just basketball. I'm not sure how old you guys are, but you know, when I was young, everybody wanted to be like Mike. So
Yeah,
just
that's
as
about to write it.
Yeah,
you know.
I think we actually might be a tad older than you. Actually, yeah.
Oh,
You're,
okay.
You're just a young buck at 30, but I'm
Yeah,
37,
yeah.
so I'm the old man in the crew. But
Oh, okay, not that
So,
far off.
yeah, not
but
too bad.
but you know, when Michael Jordan first came up, you know, hearing the story about how, you know, he tried out for his high school basketball team, he didn't make it, and then he had to rework his game, and next thing you know, he was the number one person in college. He made his college team, and you know, we all know the story.
yeah, he may be the number one person ever.
Exactly. So, you know,
cool. So you're originally from Long Island, right? And you still live there currently?
yeah.
So yeah, no, that's great. Well, I mean, I have to imagine, you know, like when we met. So one of the things that Anderson does a lot of is these sort of sneaker posters and sneaker illustrations, things like that. And it seems like Long Island or New York in general is a good spot for that. I mean, do you think in general that area is pretty receptive to that style of art?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was basketball and being around family, because I have family like in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens. And, you know, whenever I play ball, I would go hang out with them. They would always come with like fresh kicks. It was either Jordans or Nikes or, you know, just the hard to find stuff. And whenever they would come around, it just always piqued my interest. So I just think being around that at a young age is what influences my taste in design now. You know what I mean?
Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense. And I mean, you know, anybody that sees Anderson's work, and if you check him out on Instagram, it's just at Anderson Blue, but Blue is BLUU. So Anderson BLUU. You can really see, you know, exactly what we're talking about. The sort of the Michael Jordan influence, the sneakers, the sort of that whole sort of basketball, that b-ball lifestyle. You see a lot of that influence in his art. Also, and one thing that it's kind of interesting, and I can tell that we grew up sort of in the same era though, and sort of with some of the same influences. And I had to share this with you sometime, but I did a illustration as a kid that was I did a Bear Jordan and a Hair Jordan at the time of all the Space Jam stuff and
Right.
and the Hair Jordan. And you did a poster sort of recently. Well, I guess I don't know how recently it was, but with the Hair Jordan and Michael Jordan on the same poster. And
Yeah.
and I know that you call back to that every now and then, but I got to show you some of my old crap.
Yeah, man, I gotta see it.
My stuff never got that good, but
Are your prints pretty much your go-to these days, or is it kind of a mix of everything?
Yeah. So I guess what you're seeing is me kind of making a career shift. It's slowly happening, but it is happening. It's funny that we're talking about the injury, because if it wasn't for me getting hurt, I never ever would have done the art prints.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what happened was, I've heard people doing it, but I just didn't think, like, in my head, it didn't make any sense. I'm like, nobody's gonna buy, like, spend money on prints to, you know, hang it on their wall. Like, in my head, t-shirts was the go-to. So when I got hurt, I was like, you know what? I always told myself I want to do art prints, but I just wasn't sure what I could do to stand out, because everybody was doing the same thing, or, you know, doing pop culture stuff. So I was just like, you know what? And it was funny because it was right after we met at Creative South. I was like, you know what? I talked to a lot of people, and everybody's saying that, you know, you should do what you're into, like do what you love. And I'm like, well, I don't know many artists that really do basketball or do sneakers. So you know what, maybe I could, mix that world of sneakers, pop culture, and basketball. I'll try it out and let's see what happens. And because of that, that's what opened up, me being able to travel the country, do the Anderson Blue Tour. And it just really, I just feel like I caught lightning in the bottle. It just opened up, a new avenue for me as an artist.
So you've been to a bunch of different like Comic-Con, SneakerCon, Soul
Right.
Exchange, all over the place. Break that down for us. Is that like a logistical nightmare to get all your product there? Or I mean, I can't even imagine trying to, ship merch and then show up and make sure it's there and then get a booth set up. And
Right. To be honest, it's actually easier with the prints. It's a nightmare with the T-shirts. Because, with the prints, I can get, let's say 10 designs of paper in like in a suitcase or two, and I'm good to go. And you know how much it costs for a suitcase? It's not much.
Yeah.
But to be able to get like 10 different designs with different size runs and do all that, that's when it becomes a logistical nightmare.
Yeah,
But
no. and I can totally relate to that. We used to have a clothing business too, and so I can totally feel you.
yeah. So that's why, when I first did Blue Dreams and like, the first 5 years, it was always tough to get on a plane. Like, it just didn't make sense. You know what I mean? Because I know I would make money, but all the money I make would go to,
Shipping
my
and-
bottom line. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Tour
those-
shipping and stuff like that. But,
is the overhead like super expensive to get a booth at one of these places? I mean, I can't.
Not
imagine they're
really.
cheap.
To be honest with you, it really depends which one you're gonna do, and the most expensive one that's gonna really kill you with overhead is like Comic-Con San Diego, Comic-Con New York. But outside of that, it's not too bad, to be honest with you. With the amount of people that come in, I think it's worth it. And I guess it depends on what kind of numbers you want to do, but I wouldn't go if it wasn't worth it.
Well, good. That's
Right.
good to hear.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about your tour and some of the places you've been and where you're going to be going. But let's kind of go back in time for a minute. I want to just get into how did you get into art in the first place? I mean, I understand you're an athlete, you're all that stuff, but a lot of times, or at least in my experience, the athletes aren't generally the artists. So, like, where did that interest in design and all that come from? How did you get into illustration and sort of, how did we get to here from there?
So pretty much what happened was that same family members that wore the cool sneakers and the cool Jordans were into art also. So it was more of like a graffiti style, that kind of influence. And
I love
so
that stuff.
yeah. So whenever I would see them do their work, I was like, you know what? I want to do it, but when you're young and you see like the comic book style, it's super intimidating. So, I started off slow. One of my go-to characters I would draw was like Snoopy and Garfield, just to kind of build some courage. And then after that, like every so often, like I would jump back into art and, give it a shot. And then I just feel like after a while, my skills started to develop. I think what happened was I did it at such a young age because I started, at least in third, fourth grade, I was drawing. So I think because I started at such a young age is what,
Drawing all the time, or just kind of when you had some downtime?
To be honest with you, I was never paying attention in class. So whenever I was in class, I was drawing 100%.
You sound just like me.
Yeah.
So, no, that's awesome. So cool. So yeah, so a lot of family influence. I love that it was Garfield and Snoopy. I have a bunch of those old drawings too. That sort of was my beginning. And I went down the graffiti path also when I was a little younger.
I've seen your work though.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
glad you didn't go that route.
So, but yeah, no, it's funny how many parallels there are.
Yeah,
So,
man.
as you've continued through this journey, like, let's go. All right. So you started drawing at a young age. You started doing, some general illustration. Practice made perfect. That's how it
Right.
goes. So then at what point were you triggered to sort of get into the clothing business? What spurred that on?
To be honest with you, it was college because through the end of middle school through high school, I was showing my family what I was doing with my designs. They thought it was cool, but I don't know if you know, my family's from the Caribbean. I'm Trinidadian, so my parents came from Trinidad over here, so they don't want to hear that there's someone to be an artist. They're like, no, you can get an education and you're gonna get a good job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I just thought if you was an artist, you weren't making money unless you worked for Disney, unless you made that jump. And to me, that's like almost impossible to make that jump. Like I thought somebody had to come and like choose you. Like, you know what, you like God gave you this talent, so you can go work over there. So it wasn't until college, my senior year, you know, I knew I was going to go to school for business administration, and I was taking an entrepreneur class, and I was just throwing around ideas. And when I was in class, I was just drawing because, like I said, I always draw. It never changed. In class, I drew a design that was I Heart College, right? So what I did was I took out the 2 L's to put 2 red Solo cups and a beer pong ball at the bottom.
Love it.
So when I was showing my friends, they're like, yo, that's cool. Like, that was a T-shirt, I would wear it. And I was like, huh, really? So I took my scholarship money from track because I had some scholarship money left over, and I would spend money on, like, you know, sneakers, of course. But I was like, you know what? Instead of throwing the money out the window, how about, you know, I get a heating press, get some transfer paper so I can make some shirts. So buy the heating press. It comes in a week later. Get the transfer paper. I asked my friend, who's a graphic designer, because I didn't know anything about Illustrator or Photoshop yet. So I was like, hey, man, I have this idea. Can you bring it to life? He looks at it, like, yeah, man, no problem. It's like, well, you know, we're in college. I only got money like that. But whatever I make, I'll give you like, I think I gave him like 40% or whatever. He was like, yeah, he was down. So literally, I got the printer, got the heating press. I just turned my dorm room to like a sweatshop. Made a couple of shirts. Gave a few to my friend, gave one to my friend that designed it, my roommate, me, and we're walking to class, and people ask, like, yo, that's a cool shirt. Where'd you get it from? I'm like, oh, well, you know, we have a few in our room. We're selling them, so just let me know if you want one. Everybody's like, yeah, no problem. I'll come through. So next thing you know, that Thursday, I have like a line of people coming out my dorm room, like literally buying shirts.
Do you have it? Do you have like an actual image of this shirt still, or is it kind of?
Yeah, no, I do. I'm sure I can find the image. Yeah,
post that on Instagram for us. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no. I'll definitely throw it up. Hashtag Throwback Thursday. So when I saw that, I was like, yo, I told my roommates, like, how about on Thursday, we'll make a whole bunch of shirts. We'll walk around with Jello shots. Whoever buys one, we'll give them a Jello shot or whatever. So
I love your marketing. This is genius.
Hey, I'm trying to make it happen. When you're in college, that's what you can do.
Well, Jello shots in college, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, no, that's a hustle.
Exactly. So that Thursday, me and my friend do a loop around the campus. So we have like, I don't know, like 40 shirts, like 40 Jello shots. And literally in that loop, I sold every single shirt. All the Jello shots are gone, and I have like a pocket full of money.
That's
and
right.
then and I was just like, yo, I think I want to do a T-shirt brand. Like, that was it. That's what kicked off the idea. For me.
So what kicked off the Blue Dreams? Like the diver guy, love for water. Like why water?
To be honest with you, I just wanted to do something that pretty much took a nod back to Long Island. So I wanted to pick something different because I knew the I Heart College design was cool, but I just felt like I'm leaving school. I can't sit here and have a whole brand about college. That's crazy. So I need something that would last. You know what I mean? And I felt like
build the whole brand around one idea.
Exactly. So I was just like, you know what? I am a fan of the ocean. I do like the beach, and I know other people feel the same way. Like, this is something that I could do for a while. I could be 30, 40, and it's still relevant. Yeah. So that's why I was like, you know what? What can I use that people don't use? I didn't want to use a shark. I didn't want to use a wave. You know, there's no personality in that. I was like, you know what? I remember watching Scooby-Doo, and there's always that deep sea diver, and nobody uses it. I was like, you know what? Let me go with that. Let me do something totally different, because at the end of the day, it represents a person. You can't, it doesn't represent a gender. It doesn't represent a race. It represents a person. And the whole motto of it was to make waves, and I felt like people could relate to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. And really, for anybody that hasn't seen it, it's bluedreams.com, BLUU dreams.com. And I mean, the whole line is great. I mean, it really is cool. And it's Anderson's illustrations. They look dope. And it's a way, basically, if you're nervous about buying a print, you can buy the shirt. And
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really great stuff on there. I love the Simpsons nods and some of these Disney ones. I mean, it's killer. Yeah. So do check out the website.
I personally like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle guy, the Stay Hungry.
Oh yeah, keep grinding. Yeah,
I love that. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So cool. Well, so now we have, let's, as we're going down memory lane here, we've got a clothing brand.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing pretty good. We have moved from trunk of our car to, are you sold in retail stores, or do you just do it online? How do you traffic your shirts?
So if you're going to go down memory lane, so pretty much what happened was after college and I was getting everything going, just from doing my research online, I learned that the best avenue was to also have a website, but to get your clothing brand in like retail stores and stuff like that. So just from, hitting the ground running, just talking to stores, just cold calling, I was able to get my clothing brand stores in like Vegas, Florida, Long Island, New York. When I say New York, I mean like Manhattan,
Sure.
and things of that sort.
Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think, it's a really competitive market. There are a million people with a million brands, and I think you have a really unique perspective that, probably made it easy for these stores to carry your stuff. Is the clothing line, like, is that number one for you still, or number two, or is it, where, like, are prints number one now and this is number two, or how does it all work in Anderson's world?
For right now, the clothing brand is still there. It's not going anywhere. Right now, the prints do have my attention. It's just opened me up to more things than the clothing brand could do at the moment. Like you said, everybody and their mother has a clothing brand. It's an oversaturated market, and I'm not saying that as an excuse. I'm just saying it because that's what it is.
Well, it's also the overhead's probably a lot more too.
Exactly, it is, and as far as the art prints, I just see where it can be. So right now, that's where I'm putting my full attention to. But I don't, in the future, I definitely see myself dropping more designs, hats, keeping both things rolling.
For sure. Well, and I mean, we have a little questionnaire that you fill out in advance, and I think what I really like is this little quote, hashtag quote of the day. It's art as a business, and I think a lot of people think of art as being sort of this romantic thing with the starving artist and all that good stuff, but most of us like to eat food, and most of us like to go have a drink every now and then, and that all requires money. And so I feel like that ability to sort of pivot and recognize that, okay, this is not, I mean, of course you don't want to cheapen it to just chasing the money, but at the same time it's, okay, clothing is what it is. It's really hard. It's a difficult market. It's time consuming, and overhead is high. Where art prints, it's maybe easier for me to build a niche. It's easier for me to make a name, and the overhead's low, everything. And so in terms of getting going on business, it's maybe the smarter path. And I think that ability to pivot, though, is something that a lot of people don't have. I mean, I know a million people with a million clothing lines who have stuck with it too long or whatever. And it's fine if it's a project of passion. But I think that you've got to look at, like you said here, at the end of the day, art is a business. And, 90% of the businesses don't work. So, you've got to really try hard to sort of break into a market. And I think it was really smart of you to sort of pivot to, what's working.
And you know what it is? It's just that I don't mean to go back to my injury, but I had so much free time to think. So after I got hurt, I think I was on bed rest for a month, and it really put a lot into perspective because, when you're building a business, and let's say you don't have a day job, you probably don't have insurance. So if you get hurt, and these certain things, these certain, natural necessities that you should have as an adult, you don't have those, you start to question like, well, I am sacrificing for this, but how much am I sacrificing? So with that free time that I have, is really asking myself is like, what, Blue Dreams is great, but I have to also be able to keep my mind open to other things that could happen. I had no idea it would be the art prints. Thank God it was. But I just feel like it's taking that self-reflection and just really looking at the bigger picture and just saying 90% of businesses don't work. And you have to be well aware of that. You know what I mean? And I feel like, just like you were saying, you can't, one of my biggest issues with some artists is I get that it's art and it's your passion. And I totally understand that. But at the same time, if it's not putting food on the table and you're taking every design that somebody's giving you, you're probably not putting out your best work. If you're not putting out your best work, people don't think you're that great. You know what I mean? So it's just trying to find that balance in, you know, you putting out your best work as an artist and also treating it as a business.
Yeah, and I think that really shows you're savvy because, I mean, that's, I think, I don't know, this sounds funny to say to somebody that's younger than me, but like a mature thought, you know, like that's a smart way of approaching the business. So I really sort of respect that. So I did want to talk to you also about, you know, you recently have put together a tour that was sort of to support these prints, I guess. And so the idea being, you know, take these prints on the road, get them in front of more people. Can you tell me or tell us how the sort of that whole process worked, how it all came together, how you chose events, that sort of thing?
Right. Yeah. So before the summer, or the summer that just passed, I just knew that the prints were doing well. They were doing great online. And one thing that I feel like is overlooked when it comes to any kind of business that you do is if you have something good, or even if you have something terrible, you need to put it in front of people to see if they're going to buy it or not. So I told myself, I was like, you know what? I think it's doing okay. I need to go to the market where all my people are. So I knew it was like, all right, I got to go to Comic Con, go to Sneaker Con, and I need to go to as many of these as possible, and, you know, create an event around it, so people actually want to come out and see me when I come to their town.
Well, one thing that I saw, you know, I was doing a little research on you last night, just trying to find out more about you. And just on your Instagram, it was cool seeing the kids wanting to take a picture with you and their dad, you know, and the print right in front of them. I mean, like, I've done some radio stuff, and I've been out on location and had kids wanting my autograph and stuff, and I'm like, they don't even know who I am. I'm no one, you know. My autograph means nothing, but just the wanting the photo and just, it's a whole different experience. It's kind of, it's surreal. Have you kind of like wrapped your head around that yet, or is it kind of like, are you still kind of, is it awkward for you every time someone does that? Because it's awkward as hell when they do that to me.
I'm pleasantly surprised every time that it happens. Like, you know, I did one event in DC, and a father came with his son. He threw me off guard. He was just like, "Hey, are you the guy?" I was just like, I hope so. Unless you unless you're here to take me out, then no. And then he was just. But he was just like, no, like, are you the one that does the sneaker prints? I'm like, oh yeah, of course. And then he's like, yeah, my son heard about you on YouTube, so, you know, we came here just to see you. I'm like, oh wow,
that's awesome.
Like you stopped your whole day to come here? I'm like, of course, you know, I'll give you stickers, I'll give you a T-shirt. Thanks for coming out. You know, whenever I do these events, and especially if you come to see me, my whole goal is to make sure that, like, I show you that I appreciate you coming out.
All right, that was Anderson. Thanks for coming on, buddy. That was a great interview. Definitely check out his website, bluedreams.com. He has some new prints from the last time that we interviewed him. One of them is an awesome one with Kill Bill, so check that out if you like sneakers and Kill Bill. Awesome print. Up next, we have Jason Frostholm from the Creative South podcast. We interviewed him about a month ago. We did a co-show. He actually aired the episode that we did with him on his network, and we did it on ours, and it was a really cool interview for both of us. So you got to hear a little bit of both our backstory and his. He is friends with Ryan. They met at the Weapons of Mass Creation Fest in Cleveland, and he's actually going to be at the Creative South Conference in Atlanta, or just outside of Atlanta, in a few weeks. That's coming up here shortly. So if you haven't bought tickets, you might not be able to get them anymore. But check it out. His podcast is Creative South Podcast. And I'm sure, I don't know what the website is. Google it. You'll find it. And then go to the conference if you got some money and some time. It's a great time. All right, here we go. Jason Frostholm.
So let's ask sort of the first legitimate question of you, Jason. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, how you came into the design world, all that stuff?
Sure. I kind of grew up all over the place. Mostly raised in the Midwest, but I've been down in the South for longer than I was ever in the Midwest now. I guess I date myself when I say something like that. But I was always the artistic kid. I always sucked at sports, especially anything that involved a ball. or a puck or anything like that. Eye-hand coordination is not my strong suit. So I always liked drawing and sketching, and was a pretty nerdy kid at that. So, again, dating myself, I came up when the Atari 2600 was just coming out.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say that I had one.
the little what was it, the joystick, was it?
the little joystick.
The 2600
and,
had a joystick.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they got advanced the next round that had a little dial thing that was.
What was it, Knight Rider? Was that the game?
I had my favorite one was Pitfall. I liked
Pitfall and Joust were my favorite games.
Yeah, Joust was good, and I can't remember, was Dig Dug on that too? Maybe Dig Dug was a little
I think
newer.
You could get a
remember.
Dig Dug on there.
Yeah, Dig Dug was my jam too. I liked that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up then. I was kind of nerdy, but I actually had my history with the Mac goes back to because my eye-hand coordination is so bad. When we started taking like typing classes and all, and handwriting and things like that, I was horrible at it. So I don't know. I don't remember this part, but a teacher or principal or somebody recommended that my parents get a computer, and this was right when the Mac came out.
The Apple
first
IIgs
no, the first Mac.
Okay.
Yeah, this is me dating myself. This is 1984, 1985.
And no worries, there's no judgment here.
And I'm 10 years old at this point. We got that, and I loved playing on it because even at that point there was a drawing program on there, and I could draw on the computer. And I never did much with it. And then school goes on, and I'm still taking art classes, but I'm never doing anything on the computer. And then I get to college, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, and I go in right out the gates declaring that advertising is going to be what I want to do, and thankfully didn't stray too far from that. But, long story short, there was an extended hiatus, and when I got back in school, I decided to be a graphic design major. And then, went through college, got my degree, and right out the gate, went to work in the glamorous world of print production. Which, yeah, I will say the one good thing that came out of there is I met my wife. So,
well, hey, that's better than most people get. Most people just get
a paycheck,
the ink
and that's
you can
about
never
it.
wash off, or the.
Well, I wasn't that far into the print production. I still was playing on the computer.
On the digital side. Okay.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I had to make plates every once in a while, but very rarely. So did that. Was there for about a year, and it just paid so horribly that I had to move on. And my wife and I weren't dating at that point. It was about a year after that we started dating. And then I just held kind of a series of jobs working in agencies or a couple failed startups, things like that, bouncing around until I found the world of in-house. And I've had a few in-house roles, but my current role, I work for a engineering firm, like not software engineering, but build stuff, mechanical, chemical, civil, structural, that type of engineering, where I'm the creative director. And I've been there for 6 years now. It'll be 6 years in May.
How is it working, like as a creative in an analytical world? Engineers, I mean, they're pretty straightforward. It's, it has to be like this. And then, being creative and actually, I guess it's two different things, but,
yeah. It's challenging. It's taught me a lot about pitching stuff. Because I'm trying to find a way to say it where it doesn't sound like I'm talking bad about engineers. In case anyone
where you don't lose your job.
Yeah, exactly. Where I don't lose my job.
Where it's two different parts of the brain, though, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it's different parts of the brain. So engineers, while they can envision how a structure is going to go together or how these schematics are going to work and come to create something, which isn't something that I can do. I look at the stuff and it's like, that's just a bunch of lines and numbers overlapping each other. I have no idea what the hell that means. But on the opposite side of that, when I'm, taking an ad to them or taking logo design or something like that to them, they can't necessarily visualize the use cases of how it would be used across different platforms now, things like that. So I've got to be very good at internally pitching things to those clients. So I've got to explain it a lot. I've got to, show examples of things mocked up. So it's gotten me pretty decent at pitching things.
Yeah, well, and that's, I mean, in advertising or any, sort of creative field, that's a huge thing to be good at.
Yeah.
So, because I know for a lot of people that doesn't come easy. A lot of the creatives I know, myself included, are just, pitching and doing that sort of work isn't really our forte. So.
Oh, it's my least favorite part of the job. I will say that. Well, it's not my least favorite part of the job. My least favorite part of the job is doing budgets, but
Yeah.
but after that, it's my least favorite part of the job because I get sweaty palms every time beforehand, and get worked up and frustrated, and I'm just worried that they're not going to grasp it or I'm not going to explain it well, and sometimes that happens, and more often than not, it doesn't now after having been there for so long, but. It does happen.
Yeah. Okay. So from there, now I know you as from the Creative South podcast. That's
Sure.
how I met you, or the context I met you in. But so how does all that work? Like, what's your relationship with Creative South? Why is there a podcast? Like, how did that come to be? That sort of thing. We have talked in the last few episodes of our show about the Creative South conference that's coming up. Because we plan to attend unless we procrastinate too much longer. But
don't procrastinate much longer. There's still plenty of tickets left, so go out and get yours.
So, but it is our grand plan to attend.
The reason I say don't procrastinate is because hotels will sell out before tickets will sell out.
All right, that was Jason Frostholm from Creative South Podcast. The Creative South Conference is coming up in April, the 12th through the 14th, and tickets are still available. I'm checking that out as we speak. I don't know about hotel rooms. Like he was saying, they might be sold out. Check out some Airbnb. It is in Columbus, Georgia. I think you fly into Atlanta, and it's there is a shuttle from the Atlanta airport to Columbus. So if you want to go, you should. I can't make it. I have to DJ a wedding that weekend, but Ryan might be going. I'll have to confirm with him. Okay, well, we started with the DJ Tam. We're going to end with the DJ Faze. DJ Faze is a radio producer for Power 93 in Seattle. He does all the commercials, and he also hosts a weekend mix show called The Weekend Drop. I'm actually going to be making a mix for that right after I finish messing around with this. So you can actually tune in on Friday night and hear me, DJ Faze. I think DJ Tam's going to be on this weekend as well. So it usually starts at 9 o'clock. And if you're not in the Seattle market, you can tune into the website, power933.iheart.com, and stream it live. Lots of good music, good times. So here we go. DJ Faze.
How did you get started? How'd you get into the business? What was your inspiration? I mean,
oh man,
where'd you begin?
Really, back in the sweet old age of 1995.
Oh,
remember those years?
Those were good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, and
it was a good year.
It was. I graduated high school that year, and that's why I remember it. And my next door neighbor, he was a mobile DJ, but they also had a band. And
nice.
Yeah, it was a band of like 3 or 4 brothers, and
a movie about that?
A band of brothers. Yeah, and I forgot
the Partridges.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember their band name. It was pretty funny, but they're all Filipino, and they all just played drums, and they had a whole setup, guys sang and guitars and everything. I thought it was hell of hilarious. But then one of them would also mobile DJ, and so if they wanted a band at their wedding or corporate party, they could
do both.
Yeah.
Were they like that was their thing, was weddings and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's exactly what. Well, they sold cars during the day. Go figure.
We're in the wrong industry.
Exactly.
We got to be having a band and selling cars.
Mobile DJ / cars.
Yeah. So so they got me started into DJing back in '95, and I did some mobile stuff with them, and they just literally. I just sat at his house and just practiced how to beat match with, it's funny, he had doubles of raw bass. It Takes Two.
Okay.
He had doubles. Yeah, true. Yeah. And that's all I did was just try to learn how to control a record. He taught me, how to scratch, just control. He wasn't much of a scratcher, but just the basics, just so you can control a record right. And that's all I did was, I want to rock right now. I want to rock right now. I want to rock right now. And there's so much record cue burn in them. It's like
just
I
dug
wanna
in
rock.
deep.
Oh
That
gosh,
MIDI ain't going nowhere.
it literally sounds like white static. I want to rock right now. And I still have those 2 original records to this day, and I framed them. And that's how I got started. With those guys.
I inherited your vinyl collection.
Yes, you did.
And there's a record I think that I have that I need to return to you. That is it, the Village People one?
Yes.
Isn't there a rare one or something that that's worth some money?
Yeah, it's an original press, not for sale promotional copy, and it's the long version of, I think it's like 13 minutes long of YMCA.
Oh my God.
And on the other side is nothing. There's
And I
nothing.
know
Barely
what
do- I can barely do 3 minutes away. What would I do with the other 10?
My arms hurt.
I've been kind of sorting through them. I haven't come across it yet, so when I do, I'll get it back to you.
Yeah, that would be great. But that's how I got started. But then, like, if you're talking about inspirations, I listened.
Well, yeah.
to,
So I mean, you're a young buck. You're starting to learn the actual, the technical parts of the trade. But I have to imagine these Filipino guys weren't your inspirado. Was there, are you a Sir Mix-a-Lot fan, or like where'd you pick up the interest in the first place? Or do you even have DJ heroes? Or are you just your own DJ hero?
Oh gosh, no, man. There's no way you can do this industry without looking up to somebody and somebody helping you along the way.
And I got to say, you're one of those people for me. And thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm not in the business, but I would look up to you all.
He's short, dude. You're taller. You're good.
Okay, well, I'll look down on you.
Okay. But I listened to the radio a lot. I liked a lot of radio mix shows. There's this guy, he's not on the radio anymore, but he went by DJ Ecstasy. And of course, DJ Scene, which anybody that knows DJs knows him.
Anyone around there knows him.
Yeah. And, man, and this guy named Bobby O. I got to give him a shout because he went to my same high school. He was a couple of years ahead of me.
You went to Fife, right?
I went to Washington.
Oh, okay.
In Parkland next to PLU and all that stuff. He was on the radio as a regular jock.
He was Cube?
Yeah, on Cube.
Okay.
And
I recognize the name.
Yeah. And he also DJ'd. So, because I knew he was from my school and we had some familiar friends and stuff like that. So it was easy for me to reach out to him. And he actually gave me my first club gig ever.
Nice. Where was that?
Oh, man. It was an 18 and over spot. I forgot the name of it, but it was...
Was it Dakota's? Do you remember that place?
I do remember that place.
We used to hit that place on the regular.
Because you weren't old enough to get in any of the clubs.
Exactly. We could only go there. And it was a weird club because it had 3 rooms. It had one that was a country line dance room, one that was like a house, techno, whatever kind of room, and then a hip hop room. And the hip hop room had like cages and stuff in the back. It was pretty interesting.
Yes, I remember like looking around, going, "Where am I? This is cool.
Yeah, this is crazy."
Well, before you go any further, do you have any memories from that first performance? So I have to imagine, going from beat matching in your garage to, your first performance in front of people. This is that feels like quite the step in a young DJ's life.
Yeah. That's all I did was, before that I was just doing like the mobile stuff, and I remember getting that first gig. I was nagging at him, like riding his coattails, and I was like, "Bobby, man,
get me on, dude.
Whatever I could do, man." He's like, "All right, I'm hosting this night. I'm DJing a little bit, but mostly emceeing." And another Cube guy, I think it was Big Mike, was DJing, and I brought some records with me, just one crate, small crate, and he put me on. He was like, "Yo, man, ready to go on?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, anytime." It was like, how like double Dutch, you're like getting ready to jump in. Can I jump in now? Can I jump in now? Can I jump in now?
I hate that. Tam was here the other week, and I was like, "Dude, just tell me when you want to go on because I'm just going to play until you do." So
yeah, it's a lot different now. But yeah, I remember putting the first record on. He was like, "All right, man, you're on." So I was going to mix out the whatever record he was playing, and he wanted me to play a specific record. I don't remember what it was now, but the part I do remember is I set the record down and I grabbed the needle and I'm putting it put the needle on the record, and my hand is shaking. Like, those grooves are small, and I'm looking at the big groove. Or I'm trying to put it on track 2, right? And oh God, it was the most nerve-wracking.
You're a minute and a half in and have to backspin for 30 seconds to get back to it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I remember that. But after I put like 3 or 4 records on, I felt pretty good. And I played for not very long, maybe like 45 minutes. And then Big Mike got on and, wrapped up the night. So that was my very first club night. But,
and was that it? Was that like the bug that got you into that, and that's what you wanted to do? Or
actually, no.
What was your trajectory?
This is interesting. So 95 and 96, 97-ish, right?
Yeah.
The Mariners were doing really good.
Oh yeah, that was my
Those were the Griffey days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Griff
remember that VHS video they put out with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, I still have that somewhere. I should give that to Tam.
Yeah, he's a big baseball fan, so he would appreciate this though. So back then, they're doing really well, and I was working at Tony Roma's. Do you guys know what Tony Roma's is?
Oh, you betcha.
Pizza place?
No, it's barbecues.
Oh, by the way, that's Borja.
Oh, yeah,
the
Borja's
factor
on
is
here.
joining
All right,
us
what's
in
up?
today.
He's like, I know no stinking Tony Roma's.
Yeah, he knows Tony Ramos, and he's from Spain.
Oh.
That's how bad we are.
And the sad part is,
Some barbecue ribs.
ribs. Okay,
Yes.
barbecue joint.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's barbecue
okay.
boys.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was bar backing and bussing tables and stuff then. And the Mariners are doing really well, and the bar just got packed, and people are, high fiving, and I'm switching out kegs, running ice and stuff. Of course, there's a smoking section back then, so
Welcome to my world.
oh yeah, you do that spot
Center
it still
Street.
smokes.
Ugh. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
So, anyways, I was like, this bar is hopping. It's fun. Like, people are having a good time, and I need to work in a bar. So that's actually what. And I was DJing, some small corporate stuff and weddings and stuff, and I knew I could get into bars DJing, so I just kind of put the two together, and that's where it went. That's where I got the bug. Thanks, Mariners.
Nice. Yeah. So you focused mainly on the bars for the first little bit then, and kind of went from there. And well, you've played it.
Yeah.
You've had. Okay, so you had the residency at Trinity for like 10 years, right? You and Eric
Yeah.
did that forever.
Yeah, that was a long time in the making in itself.
Yeah. So this is like 10 years down the road, probably, or more.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's go from working in bars to how you got to Trinity and how that worked out.
What's sort of the next step?
The next step was this is speaking of networking that we're talking about before.
Yeah.
This is how I got my very first gig, and I think this is how most people should get their gigs today. And I think this method has gone to the wayside, is grinding.
Yep.
Literally grinding. What I mean by that is probably what not a lot of these millennials think of grinding.
Well, no, I mean, we were talking about it off air, but there's an app for that now. It's Grinder.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I think you use that. I understand it's an effective tool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you like
Check
sub
that out.
sandwiches, yeah, Grinder's fantastic.
But grinding.
Well, back in the day, guys would learn by carrying crates of record in for like helping the other DJs, helping out, like,
Yeah,
hey,
that's 100% right.
yeah.
And just kind of, literally going to the club that I wanted to work at. So there's this place called Cheers West, and it was just this random bar. And I became friends with the DJ. His name is Omar. Shout out to DJ O Marvelous in Tacoma. He was DJing there. He was the resident there. And then also a guy I looked up to he did a different day, that DJ Ecstasy. His name is Charles. He was DJing there a different night. And so I just kind of hung out there, and I learned how to MC thanks to all the, corporate gigs and weddings.
Yeah, that's actually something I still have a hard time with. In weddings I don't, but in clubs I hardly ever on the mic.
I think you just go, yeah, and you just kind of pump your arm.
Yeah, you go,
think
let's
that's the whole
go,
thing.
let's go. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3.
Well,
jump.
that's like advanced, right? And you start with yas, and then you move into bounce and jumps and come on, party people.
Yeah. And then if you want to go really advanced, then you go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's in like year 3, year 4.
That's tough though. I can.
Anyway, grinding.
Yeah. So Anyway, so I just kind of sat and just kind of waited my turn. Like, those guys would need to take a piss or something and go get a drink. I'd run them drinks. I'd bring a crate of records. I'd warm up for them. and I would just study what they're doing, how they're doing it, and go home and practice those things, and get better every time. And I ask them questions, and luckily they were nice enough. And that's probably where I kind of got it from too. Is you always just got to be super humble. Don't think of everything as a competition. Because you never know who's going to help you out. Definitely in the long run.
Exactly.
And it's cool to hear you say that, actually. Like, so I work in advertising, and this concept of what you're talking about with the grinding and sort of just going and shadowing a guy, being in the environment you want to be in, that stuff. I think that's really good and practical advice. Of course, I don't know everything about all industries, but I think generally in creative industries like this, this is sort of the, I guess, I can't say the modern day equivalent because it's not happening anymore, but it was the 10 years ago version of sort of a apprenticeship. Yeah. You'd go in, you'd watch the guy, you'd learn, and as a designer, we'd do the same thing. We sort of shadow guys, or we work in the business, and I've always been sort of an advocate for working for free, and as a DJ, I suspect it's the same, but those early days, you're not making big checks, but you're going out and you're perfecting your craft. Oh, and right. And I think it's the same in most businesses or most industries, so I think it's cool to hear you say that. I think that's good advice. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's invaluable, and just that one-on-one, they get to know you. These are the people that are going to help you out in the future. And like nowadays, it's more like, look at my YouTube video, check out my SoundCloud.
Guess how many likes I got? Check this out.
Look, I have,
and they're all bots.
Yeah, I have 2,000 followers on my Instagram or something, whatever, and I can bring in 50 people to your party, even though they could probably really only bring in 5, but But yeah, that's what I remember doing, just grinding, and I just waited my turn, and then they were like, "Yo, I've been doing this gig for a long time. I got another gig over here. Do you want to do it?" I'm all like, "Yeah." And then I just took off from there, kept moving up.
So were you a record pool guy, or did you go and individually shop for all your stuff?
I did the record pool a few times, and it never really worked out for me because they sent me a bunch of crap.
Yeah, and you just got an extra weight to carry around.
Yeah, and no, I went to, there's no record stores in Tacoma, which is just, anybody listening to this who isn't familiar with Seattle area, it's just about a half hour, 40 minutes or so south of Seattle. So I drove into Seattle, I don't know, maybe weekly, sometimes even twice. And I got really good friends with Kippy, Kippy.
Kippy.
Yeah, who worked there until it closed. He's been there forever, and he would
at Platinum Records.
Yep,
that's where he was at. Yeah,
Platinum Records in Seattle. He used to drive up there all the time,
and back in the day, correct me if I'm wrong, but they only got so many copies of the latest greatest tracks, and so you had to kind of get there early, and if you didn't get it, you didn't get it. And so
that's a good thing about knowing Kippy, because I'd be like, "Yo, what you get in, I'll hold it for you." I'm like, tight.
That's nice. Yeah.
But
again, though, back to what you were saying earlier about grinding, it's about those relationships.
Yeah, and that's
you fostered a relationship with your supplier.
Yep.
And and he was willing to do you solid on the backside.
Yeah, exactly. And then he would always hold the records for me, and I always bought my records from him. Every time I needed equipment, I buy it from him. Rented equipment, anything. So yeah, that was my guy. And then, but how I got to Trinity, how we're kind of bringing it back to that. How I got to Trinity was I eventually just kind of moving around the clubs to a little bit better one, a little bit busier one in Tacoma, and there wasn't a whole lot to choose from. But my jump off was the Loft in Tacoma.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
There was a big club. They had a banging Thursday night and had a okay Friday, and their Saturday night was banging too. And that's where
this is the same guy that owns Encore and the other ones is okay.
Yep, yeah, there you go. There's another person that I started networking with, and to this day I work with them, and I owe a lot to my success to those guys. But I got in there very, very weirdly.
Yeah.
If you want to hear one other short story.
Sure.
About grinding.
Yeah, we've got time. Talk away. I'd love to hear these grinding stories. But talk slow.
Oh, shut up.
Slow. So I was working at this place called Seven Cities at the time, and it was just another bar down the street. And I'm just kind of working my way, trying to have fun and drink and trying to make my name bigger, just in Tacoma. And Tacoma is definitely a big fish, small pond kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the big club was the Loft. And I remember going in there, like cold calling, I guess what you'd call it, right? No one knew who I was. I didn't know anybody there.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. And I went there on an off night. It was a Friday night. I knew Fridays were slow because their Thursdays were big and Saturdays were big. So I went in there on a Friday night and they had somebody DJ. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know anybody there. And I walked in there and found the manager and this guy named Roger. And I was like, hey man, I DJ, just kind of give him a quick rundown. I don't know if I don't even know if you're looking for anybody, but if you are, I'd love to have a shot. And he was
Those
like,
conversations are always awkward.
oh, it was the worst.
I hate having those, like, hey, check me out.
Yeah.
It's like,
but he gave me a chance, and this is what I did. Is the guy that they had on Fridays? He didn't really want to do the night anyway. He was just, I don't know how he got put into it. But that's what he told me. He's like, well, he doesn't really want to do it, but he's our only guy. So tell you what, why don't you do next week? And in part of that conversation, I said, okay, I will do a night for you for free. If you don't like me, then no harm, no foul. Thank you very much. Shake your hand. Thank you for having me. I'll just go somewhere else. But if you like me, you hire me. And I do every single Friday night. And I'll just work it. And that's what he said. He agreed. He was like, okay, that sounds fair. I said, but on the night that I do for free, I have to get hammered. So he was like, okay, can you get hammered after like 1:30? I'm like, okay.
just get through the main part of the night, and once they're drunk, it doesn't matter anymore. You're good.
Yeah.
So.
And that's exactly what happened. I DJ'd the night, and then I actually really didn't get hammered because I was so nervous. So I had to keep my wits together. But I don't know. I thought I was being cool or something. And then at the end of the night, I remember going upstairs into the office, and boy, did he rip me a new one.
Why?
Because he also DJ'd before managing a nightclub. And he's like, why did you play this song? You should have got out of it then. Nobody liked that song.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He goes,
he's critiquing your formatting, and it's like your first night there?
Yep.
How long had you been DJing at this point?
Oh, man. Probably like 5 years, maybe.
So you were starting to get a feel for it.
Yeah, maybe a little less. But I was kind of feel for it. Yeah, I had a program at night, but I haven't really done like nightclubs. I was doing bars.
Yeah, which is completely different. To be honest with you, you've booked me at a few times at a club, and each time I'm nervous because it's completely different. I'm a bar guy. I've been a bar guy for a long time, and when you go into a club, it's like nerve wracking.
Yeah,
it really is.
I remember. Yeah, I remember those days, and before doing nightclubs, and it was a transition, and he really taught me everything. And I remember walking out of there going, God, man, I suck. Like, he broke me down, and I walked in there thinking I was good. I walked out of there thinking I was horrible. And
but did he call you back?
He did. He called me back. He was like, all right, think about what I said. If you want to continue to work on this, come on in a couple of weeks. So I came on in, and again, he did it to me again. He paid me this time, not very much, and every time I DJ'd for him, I got a little better. And then one time he got down on me. I remember it was a super busy night, and I had to do really good. They're doing some special party on a Friday. He let me do the Friday, the slow night, by the way. So the risk was a little less for him.
not as big.
Yeah, and he was like, okay, I did one big Friday night, and he got into me really bad, and I was like, that's it. I can't do it. I'm not your guy. I quit. Thank you. And I literally left like almost in tears. That's how bad. Yeah. And I just felt bad, I just felt like I just crapped the bed and everything. And then that's
like the worst feeling. Just, like, what could I have done different? You're self-analyzing yourself, and just, it sucks.
And he even, I'd hop on the mic and stuff. He didn't, he was trying to teach me how to MC stuff, and I wasn't saying stuff right, all this stuff. And anyway, so he ended up calling me, and I'm still driving home, and I'm like stewing, I'm half mad, half sad. And he wouldn't let me quit.
You're coming back, asshole. What are you doing?
Kind of right. He wouldn't let me quit. And
that's all, that's props to him for doing that.
Yeah. And Roger ended up being one of my best friends to this day. like I said, he taught me a ton of stuff as far as that
I
next
had
level.
I didn't know that he DJ'd. I just thought he was an owner. Like I had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think it's really cool or important to point out, I think, just trying to keep everything, even though we're talking DJing specifically, there's some real good advice in here. And, first of all, being able to take critique and work with it is a really big deal, whether you're in a job or, doing shift work someplace or whatever, you need to be able to receive, feedback from people, in this case, it was your boss, but, from your audience, from your client, from whomever it is. And you need to, sort of not take offense to that, understand what they're trying to do is help you, and then take that and take whatever learnings you can from that and invest it in your performance or the way you behave at work or whatever it is. And so, but I think that ability to take critique is kind of a skill in itself, being able to actually receive feedback from people and then do something.
Well, and the thing is that's something you have to learn.
Well, yeah, there are a lot of people who hear that stuff and then just get pissed or shut down. Whatever. They're not willing. Yeah, they're not willing to be introspective and say, "Oh, okay, well, I can actually learn something from this guy. He's been at this for a while. He might know something I don't know." And I think there's something really valuable about having sort of your ego checked every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
And because you developed skill set, like you're talking about, you've moved up the ranks, you're working in, now this is, you're getting to the biggest club in Tacoma, you're doing, you've moved up the ranks. So you're getting this ego, you're feeling good about yourself. Hey, I'm king shit. And then this guy comes and puts you in your place. And, as you just described, I mean, you definitely grew from this.
Well, one of my biggest motivators for me is when I know I fucked up and when I know I got to go and do better. And for me, that's my motivation to get out and practice and to do what I need to do to get to that next level. When someone puts me in check and I know it's like the ultimate motivator for me.
Yeah, I think it's just really important that people understand the importance of being able to be introspective, accept outside opinions and outside ideas, and then, take what works for you. I mean, not every bit of feedback you're going to get is going to be helpful, but, be willing or open to receive that type of stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention about this, and maybe it's not a formal mentorship, but I think the importance of sort of having a mentor or somebody to coach you through these things. In this case, this guy was, you were ready to quit, but he wasn't going to let you. He knew, he was able to at least identify, within your skill set or your abilities, he knew there was something there. He just was trying to coach it up a little bit and get it to where he wanted it. But he wasn't going to let you just, throw your hands in the air and be done.
Yeah, well, and, his personality was pretty asshole.
But I do think it's important to have those kind of influences in your life and have people like that can, bring you back in or give you the chance that you need to, let you blow off your steam and be upset. But, I'm not going to let you quit. This isn't the thing to quit over. There's
one other aspect to that too, that I've seen, another friend of mine do is, you're right though. You're doing better nights. You're rocking some crowds, you're doing well, you think you're doing good. Ego gets big, and then I remember he was starting to surround himself with people that thought he was great. Like, that's it. Yep. There's nobody to tell you that you did bad. Even if you did you bad, they wouldn't tell you did.
Well, yeah, and you see this sort of thing all the time with the celebrity types and things like that. They surround themselves with people as crazy as they are.
Yeah.
And and it's a little hard to see the forest from the trees.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, you need someone, putting you in check to let you know that you actually need to work. You need to keep honing in on your skills. All right, that was DJ Faze from Power 93 in Seattle. There's much longer episodes of all these different clips that we've played today. Go to our website, eggscast.com, to listen to the full episodes. The DJ Faze one goes for another 45 minutes, I think. There's a lot to it. Anyways, check out our website, eggscast.com. You can find out more about me, DJ Ontic, at djontic.com, and more about Ryan at r2mg.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. So we started with DJ Tam, and we're going to end with DJ Faze. Both of them work for Power 93 in Seattle. DJ Faze, That's fun.
Nice.
Can you hold that for a second?
Yeah.